Humans are weird. We still act like if we don't fit in, we're gonna get eaten by a dinosaur like we're still in the prehistoric times or some shit. You're not literally gonna get eaten, but there's a fear that's kind of that real. Fitting in all the way back in the day, prehistoric times, that shit was literally survival. If you were alone back then, you're dead. You're getting eaten to a dinosaur. You needed a tribe to hunt, gather, protect, and survive. If you weren't accepted back then, if you were rejected, it wasn't embarrassing. It was death. So the brain continues. You get left out. You need to change. You need to somehow find a way to fit in. And that leads to present day where your brain still thinks that if you're left alone, then you're dead meat. But we're not back then. We got fucking Uber Eats now. Like lock in. But that instinct of feeling if you're alone, you're done for, that instinct survived throughout all of those times. And technology moves fast. We still feel like we're in danger when there's none. Your brain treats being ignored by somebody, getting no likes and awkward silence and being the odd one out like as if death is right out the door for you. There were tribes then, and it seems like now instead of tribes, there's social media communities, aesthetics, subcultures, all that jazz. And we cling to a label to help us from feeling alone. You got the Jumbros, the anime weebs, you got spiritual niggas, streetwear gamers, whatever fits. They try to link themselves to that identity. Painters, it's all of that. And it's not even about the identity for real, it's about belonging. There's a big fear people have called the imposter syndrome, that feeling of not fitting in. And that problem now has trapped us. Fitting in isn't really about trying things and then, oh, you found a community because other people like doing that too. Well, for some people, it is like that. Some people aren't really that affected by that shit, and there's still communities and shit that are natural. But for some people, it's a case of let me do this so I fit in with somebody. It's like being scared to be yourself because being yourself could possibly lead to that isolation. That's when you get to that cycle of performing instead of living. It's not as if we fear being wrong, it's fearing being judged. Because if there was a big enough group of people being wrong, people would join in on that. They wouldn't be scared to join in on that. We don't need a tribe to survive anymore. There aren't dinosaurs trying to eat us. We don't need collective approval to be safe. We don't need to blend in to be respected now. But we always want that connection for some reason. And all it comes down to is being human. The instinct is natural. You can't just not feel like it. But the option of conforming to fit in, now that's the choice. If you're going through that, instead of chasing every group, just find the few people who you actually resonate with. You don't need everyone's acceptance. Just a right handful of people. Fitting in everywhere is belonging nowhere. Cause you're not gonna be you. You aren't built to impress the whole world. You're built to fit in with a niche group of people, family members, friends, and live a life based on that. You know, Point being, you don't escape the instinct. When you do feel that feeling, it's not like something wrong per se. It's your brain doing its job. That's what it is. You're not weak for wanting a connection with other people, but you're free as to choose where you put that energy. You're not meant to fit in everywhere. You're just meant to fit in somewhere.